What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, and today it's a happy We Are Tottenham TV today because we get to discuss a home victory. Let's be serious. A victory is a rare thing for us at the moment, so we get to talk about that. As you can clearly see, Ben and Sim are still away um, due to an ongoing family emergency. Please send your best wishes, thoughts, and prayers to them. I see a lot of people in the chat going, "Where is Ben and Sim?" And every chat has said they're away for a family emergency. So instead of sending those messages, just send them their best wishes. I spoke to Ben yesterday. He is overwhelmed by the support he can see in the comments. They will hopefully be back soon. But until then, today you got me and Amir. Amir, first of all, how are you? And obviously send your best to Ben, Sim, and the Daniel family.
Of course, thoughts and prayers go out to them, and yeah, hopefully they'll be back with everyone as soon as possible. I'm doing good. I'm good after a Spurs game for once, Daigle. Like you said, we got a victory at home. Of course, it's bittersweet, isn't it? We didn't go through, and that's the end of our Champions League adventure this year, and unfortunately next year too, which really does hurt. But we've got to focus on the positives.
Yep.
And the positives from last night are that we had one of our best performances all season, in my opinion, and we'll get into it and we'll break it down bit by bit. But I'm really delighted that the lads showed fight, grit, determination, pride, all the things that you're looking for in the fight that we have on our hands in the next 8 games, and trying to keep our Premier League position, which is now all that matters. It's what we need to focus on. We've built up a bit of momentum now with that, last gasp equaliser up at Anfield, and now a win against Atletico Madrid, who are no mugs, very good side. This is a side that beat Barcelona 4-0 at home a few months ago. So a lot of positives to take, Daigle.
Yep.
Yeah, let's get into it and break it down.
Yeah, before we do that as well, we were just to take this opportunity as well because I know Ben and Sim would as for sure. Obviously, some horrible news came out about Spurs personality
Yeah,
yesterday.
yeah,
Um, a legend to most people in the content world and a voice of Spurs for so many years before YouTube even became a thing and social media. Danny Kelly uh, broadcasted to the world that unfortunately he is going through esophagus cancer and throat cancer. So we are wishing him a full and speedy recovery. An incredible person to speak to, very, very passionate about Spurs. And most importantly, as he said at the beginning of that, Amir, about men's health and men speaking up, because it's kind of a taboo subject, isn't it? So we all wish Danny Kelly well, don't we?
Oh, 100%. My heart goes out to him and his family, and we can only hope and pray that he has a full and speedy recovery. And yeah, it's incredible that he's come out and spoken up as well, not just for himself, but also for all the men out there. It's one of those kind of, like you said, taboo subjects that
Yep.
people don't really want to get into, and especially when it comes to kind of health related things. And I think it's so important, because if there is something going on, and you're a bit worried about something, go check it out. Go see a doctor. Go and take care of yourself, and look after yourself and your friends and your family, and all your loved ones around you. So yeah, very, very brave of him to do that, and we could only wish him the best.
Exactly. I also just into finals, then we'll get into all the Spurs stuff. It just goes to show you never know what's going on in someone's private life. So obviously social media abuse and abuse of all kinds is just awful. And you never know what's going on in the personal life. So it puts everything into perspective.
As indeed.
So behalf of everyone, I'm sure everyone in the chat chat that will be watching this, best thoughts and well wishes to Danny Kelly at this time. But now, as you said, Amir, in the greatest way, let's break this down. And you know what? Today we're breaking this down and forget that it was the pressure was off and this was a free hit, so to speak, or whatever it may be, because of the score. And in the grand scheme of things, going through to the next round wasn't the biggest thing that's most important in our season. We can be positive about a Spurs performance for the first time since what Liverpool, yes, but this was a a very strong performance from the lads, wasn't it?
Well, it was. It was, we haven't had a home win in months. We really, really needed this to get the ball rolling in terms of a bit of confidence and a bit of momentum going into the run in, trying to fight for our place in the Premier League. So it's a huge, huge result for us. And even more than the result, Brian, I think the performance itself,
Mhm,
player for player, man for man, I thought everyone was excellent. And you saw a level of, I want to say, it's not just pride, but it's like passion for your trade. They've heard what pe people have been saying about them. That they've kind of taken that to heart. And yesterday to me was proof that these guys can play football. They can create chances. They can, take it to the best of teams. And you know, with a bit of quality that we'll get into with especially Xavi and the likes of Tell, the youngsters,
mhm.
really proving that they are worth what we pay for them. And I'm just hoping that now this can really catapult us into a little bit of momentum, and we go from strength to strength. And of course, with a huge game coming up against Forest on Sunday, go and get well, 3 points in the league that will really help us as well. In terms of for me, the game went, it was 1-0, went to 1-1.
Mhm,
Atletico were fighting, then we went to 2-1, 2-2, and in the end we managed to get that penalty with a lovely bit of footwork from Xavi, and he got
mhm.
cleaned out. And he had the confidence as well to bury that one in the back of the net. So, there's so many positives to take from that game. There were a few mistakes in there as well, the kind of lackadaisical defending. But on this stage at that level, if you switch off at a corner, like for the second goal, near post header, if you do switch off against a team as good as Atletico Madrid, with the likes of, your Griezmanns, your Julian Alvarez's, they will score, and they did. It was a brilliant finish, Alvarez's first goal, and the second goal was a neat little header, which really, if you're doing your job defending, the post, that should never go in, and we shouldn't be conceding from there. So, couple of negatives, but overall a very, very positive performance, and a lot to take into our next couple of months.
Exactly. I mean, we'll break everything that you said down as we go through the game. But do you know what? Obviously, we've got the starting lineup to the right of us as I look at it. And obviously, as Stella and I were saying, or Stella was saying with Atletico Madrid's last game, they rested 10 players in their game before that. Obviously, Oblak was out.
Yeah.
Starting lineup, it came out like this. We actually got 9 out of the 11 right on the predicted lineup, which is probably my best ever on there. But let's face it, we only had a few players to really go from. Um, that wasn't the exact starting lineup. That was our predicted lineup. So where we obviously had Danso. Um, we had Danso on the subs bench. What did you immediately think when you saw that first lineup and Danso on the bench? Because a lot of people reacted badly to seeing Danso on the bench instead of Dragoshin. I was actually kind of happy. And the only reason I was happy is because I loved Danso so much. And after what we saw at Liverpool, I think that was an indication to me, I don't know what yourself or other Spurs fans think, that Danso is definitely going to be starting on Sunday, maybe over Dragoshin if he does go to a back three. With the re-emergence of Adoji and obviously Porro or Spencer at right back and Souza. So when you saw that lineup, what was your immediate thoughts, and especially with Danso being out?
No, I didn't mind seeing Danso have a rest. I thought he had a little a knock a couple of weeks ago, so if he needs a bit more time to recover, I didn't actually mind. I think he's been great for us. I don't know if he'll start against Forest though, Brian. To be honest with you, I think we might go for a back four there, and it might just be Mickey and Kuti. But Danso's been brilliant every time he's
Yep.
come in. The starting lineup. Look, I like to see Xavi in there. That for me, he was key, and of course Gray and Sarr in midfield as well, who I think both had decent games. Gray was absolutely unbelievable, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So I was really happy with the lineup. To be honest with you, I thought it was the right way to go, and I think it's probably the best we've looked in months, to be honest with you. The only game that I can think of that we were kind of coming close to that was maybe Dortmund at home. But even then, I thought we were just excellent yesterday. And if we were a bit more clinical, we could have had a few more goals and maybe even still been in the tie.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I was really happy with the lineup. And I just think that you know, football is a team game and it's a squad game these days. We need every one of them till the end of the season. Whether you're on the bench or whether you're starting, it doesn't matter. We need you when you come in. We need you if there's going to be any more injuries or suspensions or whatever. Hopefully, no suspensions, but anything can happen in these next few months, and it's all hands on deck. We need everyone to be doing their job to the best of their ability. And that's what I saw last night. So really, really delighted about that.
I have to say as well, I don't that lineup on the right is how we ended, not what we predicted or the
Yeah,
starting lineup.
exactly.
So I could just
Yeah,
see the
yeah,
comments already going nuts when they
yeah,
see this video. That is definitely how we ended.
yeah.
Javi Simmons, you picked on, hasn't started a game at all under Tudor. He just showed his obviously. I will say the kind of little negative with this game, and it's the obvious one, is obviously the pressure was somewhat off them in this game because obviously the Premier League is the biggest thing and the scoreline we wouldn't have thought we were gonna to get round. So we'll see on Sunday when the pressure is firmly on how they do. But Xavi Simmons has just shown Igor Tudor why he has to start games, doesn't he? Yesterday.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Listen, the finish for that second goal, that is from the very, very top drawer of football.
Mhm.
Absolutely elite from Xavi Simmons. He buried it into the corner. Delicious, delicious finish. As well, some of his passing, his opening up of the body and spreading the play, showing a very, very high IQ, which is what we need our players
Yep.
to show at the moment. We need high IQ players. We need to be making the correct decisions when it comes to passes on the pitch. And we'll get into one more little negative that I do have to mention because the game really could have changed in this moment. And I think you all know what I'm talking about. When Tell could have squared the ball, he had Gray who started the move actually. It was a brilliant, brilliant move in the first half when we were 1-0 up. And, instead of squaring it, Tell unfortunately had a shot straight at the keeper. And if he had squared that ball, it would have been 2-0 before half time, and you're really in the tie then. And you can already kind of feel the trip to Barcelona. So that was a small little negative from Tell's performance. But overall, he had a really, really positive game too, as well as Xavi. The ball in for Muani's first goal was delicious. It was right on the money. Those are the kind of balls that every striker dreams of. And Muani, to his credit as well, good finish from Colo. Nodded it into the corner, gives the keeper absolutely no chance, and it's an easy 1-0 for us.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
yeah.
if we look at this, I mean, I will say we started off the first half, and I think in the first 15 20 minutes we attacked more in the first 20 15 minutes in this game than we did the whole first leg. You could see it was just a different a different intensity from Spurs. I think the first leg, obviously, we had all the howlers that happened in the first 16 minutes, but it was just an open tie. I think the shackles were kind of off. It was like, right, just go put a shift in. Um, and we were attacking, and Tell was popping off shots. Tell was getting busy. The whole team was, and we'll now go kind of in order of the goals. Obviously, the first goal came in, and as you kind of said, um, an incredible cross. And Tell has been putting those in. His shooting, when he's shooting outside the box, he seems to have a better shot off. We'll get to that key moment you just spoke about afterwards. But it was a great cross. And do you know what? Kolo Muani, who has not done it in the Premier League, let's be honest, has saved his best performances for Champions League.
He has, yeah.
It is a fantastic header, regardless of what you think of the player, has his loan been a success or a failure. But it was actually an incredible cross and a brilliant header to give us the lead, wasn't it?
It was like yeah, like I said, he gave the keeper absolutely no chance. The young substitute keeper there, I think Musso was his name. Yeah, it's right in the corner. You can't do anything with it, and those are the kind of chances that Muani, Ricci, Dom they dream about at night.
Mhm.
They think of Porro, Tells putting in those kinds of balls, and that's what we need to do more of towards the end of the season. If we put in balls like that, if you put in 4 or 5 balls a half like that, you're going to come up with a few goals. There's just no doubt about it. With the quality that we have in the air, with those strikers that I mentioned,
Yep.
you will get goals, and that's something we've been lacking. So I want to see more quality from the likes of Tel, your Poros, putting in those balls, Chavi as well, and hopefully plenty more goals like that because it's a lovely thing to see. And yeah, I want to see a lot more of that. And we know, the quality that we have up top. We're going to need goals, and it's a very good way to go about getting them.
Correct, correct. And I will say it's funny you mentioned it. I thought, as you were saying, when you're saying people like Solanke, Richarlison will be licking at the
Mm,
lips of that kind of
mm.
service. If you look at it, Richarlison did have a chance like that in the first leg, and then obviously they
Oh,
went up and scored. And he had a couple of headed opportunities against Liverpool like
completely
that.
different tie. Completely
It,
different tie if he had scored that one. Yeah.
exactly, and the Liverpool one, the pressure, whatever. But Mwani, obviously, who Richarlison, who's been great for us in the Premier League, whether you like him or not, has got the most important goals, has stayed fit for a majority of the season, and obviously is the one player up top that's had that relegation dogfight with Everton
Hmm.
on a couple of occasions. So he's got that in him, but he's had those opportunities and not taken it. And Mwani, who hasn't been taking opportunities, actually didn't. He did superbly.
Yeah.
Then obviously we go on to the moment you mentioned where
Mhm.
we were actually playing some nice stuff, and the build up to that Tell shot, which should have been a cross, we were actually passing the ball about, we were creating opportunities. Tell got in, and the one thing that I'm just going to skip ahead for one bit to make a point, but we're going to focus on the Tell and that cross is if you look at Atletico Madrid's first goal, sorry, they stream up top. But what does the player do when he was in Tell's kind of position? Stops, turns, has a look, finds Alvarez,
Bang.
bang in the
Yeah.
goal. Like he looked up
Yeah.
to see what was available. That's the point I was making. Obviously, he was a lot further out because Tell was near on goal.
Yeah.
But the player had the mentality to say, right, stop, let me have a look, pause, turned, saw a player, and
Just
if
to
only,
stop you there, Daegu,
yeah,
I think it's more than mentality, it's IQ. It's footballing IQ.
well, but yeah, so,
It's understanding that a player is in a better position than you and it's an easy goal.
yeah,
And if Gray and Muani weren't there, I would say tell yeah, have the shot, no
exactly.
problem. But the fact that you've got them there, you have to play that ball in for 2-0. You have to. Simple as that. If
Look,
we're 5-0 up or 6-0 up as well, all right, have a shot, whatever, it doesn't matter. But have the brains about you to make the right pass. That's what I want to see from Matisse going forward.
yeah, you know what I mean. With Matisse as well, in his defence, I still think this was the wrong decision that he made. And he should have crossed it. When you're in that kind of position and the stadium's up and whatever, you want a player to believe in their own ability, don't you? Like if that had been
You do.
someone else, you'd go, why haven't you shot? If that had been like a striker on form or whatever. So I can understand the adrenaline got to him and whatever, but that was the
Mm.
difference, wasn't it? That I can't remember who the Atletico Madrid player was, but he had the awareness to stop, take a breath, see if there's a better option, take that option, and obviously we'll talk about that goal when we get there. But yeah, that moment, and I've seen Matisse Tell again come in for a lot of criticism yesterday. And look, is he the finished article? No.
Of course he's
Is
not.
he,
He's
if
still a
everyone's
kid.
fit, a starter? No. But what I will say with Tell is I have seen something. I've seen a lot more for him this season as opposed to last season. That's still not saying a lot because of last season being not the greatest season for him and the club. But this guy is 100% effort.
Hmm.
I know there's going to be people that will go, "Oh my God, is that what we're doing now? Praising 100% effort." But we've been bemoaning players that don't look like they're showing the right attitude. They're not giving
Hmm.
their all. Blah blah blah. That do have the quality. He has started to show he's ready to fight, and he's ready to do. If he could just work on that final ball or that decision making,
Yeah,
then maybe there is something there. But obviously, that was a. I hate to use this term at that moment. That was a sliding doors moment of the tie, wasn't it?
it was. It was indeed. It was indeed, and I completely agree with you on what you're saying there about Matisse. But fans need to remember he's really young. He is
Yep.
raw. I watched him a lot at Bayern when he used to get a few minutes, and he looked a lot better at Bayern because he's got incredible players around him, and he'd find space and he'd score goals and he'd assist, and you see him in the France under 21s as well, playing absolutely unbelievably. We have to back these players. We'll probably get into another young player who was absolutely unreal yesterday, and
Yep.
my man of the match, Archie Gray.
Yep.
These are players that need our support. They're still young, they're still raw, they're still developing, they're working on their trade, they're improving game by game. So we as fans, yeah, we can get frustrated with, a misplaced pass or a bit of a silly moment here or there. But what we really need to do is back these boys and give them that confidence and belief in themselves, that they already know it's there, but we need to give them that big support and that big extra hug, if you like, of our fan base towards these players. And believe me, you'll start to see more and more out of these guys. And look, Tell coming off the bench this season, he's got a few goals as well. He's done all right for someone who hasn't been in the team all season. And like you said, he gives 120% every game. He's got the right attitude when it comes to improving himself. So I'm sure we'll see a lot better from him.
Yep. And really, the final talking part of the half was that save from Vicario.
Oh,
The save from Vicario, and obviously at the time you saw that shot coming in, and you saw him on the floor, and you're like, "Why are you on the floor?" But then he stopped. Then he made that save. But obviously, when you see the replays, you do see it takes a wicked deflection
massive
off
deflection.
Vicario and changes the. Let me try and say this word: trajectory. Oh my God, I
Yes.
said it first time. Get in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Um, so so yeah, that was another key moment because that could have got in 1-1, and like you said, the 2-0 could have changed the tie. That very much could have changed it. And Vicario again, who's under immense pressure um, for many reasons, distribution,
Yeah.
outside the box shooting, the free
Sure.
kick, the simple goals. That was a key save, wasn't it?
Oh, that was an unbelievable save, similar to the one where he had against Liverpool, where he tipped it onto the post and
Mm.
kept us in the game there. He does have mistakes in him, like all goalkeepers do, but what he does, he's an elite shot stopper. And to pick up that flight of the ball and just tip it around was incredible. I was kind of like it's already in the goal, I was
Yeah.
seeing the net bulge and kind of getting sad already. So the way he got his hand up there and just flicked it around, absolute elite stop there from Big Vic. And
Do you know, I completely forgot as well. Right at the beginning of the first half, we're very lucky not to be, or not very lucky because it was a right decision with VAR. But they could have been 1-0 up very early, and if that had happened, who would have known? But thankfully, VAR got that right.
yeah, you know
And
what?
they did have a few chances, didn't they, in that first half? But
They,
we defended resolutely.
we did indeed, we did indeed. And just one more thing to mention, and maybe some of the fans picked up on it as well. For their goal, there was a clear foul on Xavi Simons.
We're
That,
going to discuss that when we get into the second half. So
yeah, yeah,
do you know what? I think we'll do that now because we've covered everything now. What I
yeah.
will say before we do this, and I'm sure a majority of fans, whether you're Spurs or not, will agree with what I'm about to say. The referee in this season, in this country and in Europe, as in when the English team's been in the Champions League and VAR, to me, have the standards and the levels have absolutely dropped to an absolute huge like the standard was up here, it's now in the gutter. And what I will say, because obviously we'll talk about the first goal and that, so I'll crack on and then I'll let you come in, Amir.
Sure.
I personally don't think it was a foul. I think it was a barge. What I think now is the bad thing about it is in any other game that could have been given a foul. That could have been in other games with different refs, different leagues. It's a foul. But then there are in other. But we've seen it before, like we've seen with the push with the goals with Fulham, Liverpool, and Arsenal. There is no standard. And what I will say with that foul, I personally don't think. I think it was soft. It like it's a chart. It's a barge. But what's got to me about everyone going on about that is from where that happened to when they scored the goal,
Mm.
a lot of play went through where that could have been stopped and avoided. And obviously, we could have closed down better. We could have got back into shape better. But then what happened, obviously, as we spoke earlier, I can't remember which player it was, but he gets there, he turns, finds Alvarez, and you could have had Kinski and Vicario in the goal, and they would not have saved that shot.
Yeah, of course not. Of course not. But here's why you're wrong with regards to the foul, Brian. The shoulder to shoulder is fine when you're challenging for a ball. The Atletico defender there wasn't challenging for the ball. He was going for the man. He just barged into to Xavi and took him out as Xavi's about to have a pop. So it is a foul. For me, watch it again. It's a clear and obvious foul. For me, it's an error, complete error in refereeing. I mean, I even think that could, be a yellow card. If that's someone who's had three, four fouls against him in the game and persistent fouling, that could even be a yellow card as someone's winding up to shoot on the edge of the box. So I agree with you with the overall refereeing standards this season. There's been no consistency, and this isn't just an English problem, Daigle. The refereeing out in Spain as well, awful, awful. If you go and look at some of the penalties and some of the decisions the big clubs get, your Reals, your Barças, I mean, it's unfathomable, really. So I do think that something needs to be looked into with regards to the overall state of refereeing. And we brought in VAR because we wanted more,
Yep.
transparency and things to be better. But really, we're seeing things go downhill, and some of the VAR decisions that we've seen as well this season have been awful. Some of the penalties not given, some of the penalties given. It's so inconsistent, and from game to game, they seem to just make it up as they go along, really. It's kind of it's hard to follow the logic. And what I think we need is kind of a system where, referees are looked at and rated in terms of the amount of correct decisions they get in a game, from the little fouls to the big decisions as well, because some of these fouls, like the Xavi one, I mean that's a game changing decision if he gives a free kick there for me. So
But this is the thing, I mean, let me just count this thing. It could be game changing. And I
yeah,
can listen, I can understand where you're coming from saying you think it's a foul. I'm at the point where I remember back in the old days and whatever, blah, blah, blah. That would never in a million years be a foul. I know the modern game has changed and whatever, but the bit where I mean, I know players now also stay down a lot because they know VAR will check it to see if it was a foul. So the
yeah,
players stay down like they do for penalties or whatever, because then VAR will go and look at it.
yeah.
But what it could have been game changing, but I also think Spurs from that foul, Spurs as a team, and it'd be interesting to see what the comments think when this goes out. I think a lot more could have been done. Look where he picked it up. It was
For
on the end of
sure.
their half. There is so much that could have been done to
With
stop.
that, Daigle, there's no argument. There's no argument. Look, aspects of our defending and the way we went about some of our things, they were catastrophic. Not just in this game, but in the whole tie in general. That's why we're out of the Champions League. Let's be real here. We're out of the Champions League because of defensive mistakes and errors. Going forward, we were actually really good against Atletico.
Yep.
As well out there, to create as many chances as we did and nick a couple of goals. On another day, if you don't make those mistakes, you come away with a 3-2 or even a 2-2. So yeah, we do have to improve in that aspect of our game. I do think consistency at the back is something that we've really lacked this season, with VDV being suspended and then, Romero getting suspended and injuries. And, when you have a consistent back four or back five, whatever system you're playing, those players get to know each other.
Yep.
Those, kind of automatic decisions that you make because VDV is going to recover, Cootie going to go in there and challenge for the ball. Those are things that you build over, a long period of time, and we just haven't had that this season. And I think that's part of the reason we've seen so many kind of defensive lapses. So I completely agree with you on that one, Daigle.
I will say on this because it's a easy segue to do with this. Then we'll go back to chronological within the game. That incident with Radu Dragusin, where he goes down very, very, very easily, where there's that little kerfuffle. Do you know what? I hate watching in football when someone gets a little tap like this and they go down like they've been hit by a sledgehammer.
Yeah,
And I hate it even more when it's one of ours. When it's one of ours doing it. And Radu Dragushin, who, let's face it, isn't he's a strong guy.
yeah.
He is a strong guy. And he gets tapped in the chest open and he goes down like he's literally been absolutely
You're
poleaxed.
talking
And I
about
can't stand
Lookman, the Lookman
the
incident.
Lookman
Yeah,
incident with, yeah. Listen, there was a bit of argy bargy. It was a free kick, whatever. But then I can't stand it when players go down that easy. Like I said, like diving. I hate it in the sport, and I hate it even more when it's one of our players
yeah.
doing it. Radu Drag, because they should know now that VAR is watching and they can see this. I would actually like it brought in that when players go down like that, there can be a yellow card or there can be something, and that includes our players because I think it's so poor. Could you see rugby players doing that or whatever? I don't know how you feel about it. I mean, for me, it was such. I know it's the dark arts and whatever, but I hate seeing this in our sport.
Look, I'm not a fan of any of the play acting, the diving. We had a few incidents earlier in the season where Sarr and Xavi dived. We had it a couple of seasons back with Basuma. For me, it's an embarrassment.
Yep.
You just don't do that. You just don't do that. You continue. You carry on playing, especially if you're on the ball and you can break away. And there's VAR there as well. So this is about footballing IQ again.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
comes down to your IQ. What are you doing? If you're diving, you think the cameras didn't see that dive? It really it should be stamped out of the game. I can't stand it. I'm probably even a bit more extreme in the case of diving for diving's sake. I actually think players should be sent off, and that way you'd start seeing a lot less of it.
Hundred.
A lot less of it. If a player dives and tries to cheat the ref, like the Atletico player did for the free kick in the first leg, right?
Yeah,
That was a clear
yeah,
dive. Send him off. Send him off. I've had enough of it. The ref's job are hard enough as it is, right?
yeah.
Following in the pace of the game. It's hard enough as it is, and then on top of it, you've got the players diving. So it's you can't have it all. I think it's time for the footballing bodies to step in and try and stamp this out of the game because I'm a purist. I want to see good football. I want to see great goals. I want to see beautiful assists. And I want to see top quality players doing top quality things. I don't want to see them flop into the ground like a dolphin or whatever. Like
Like a dog, mate. What a beautiful analogy!
I don't
What a
want to see
beautiful
it.
analogy! And
Don't
then,
want to see it.
and then talking of beautiful things, obviously we spoke about their first goal, and Xavi Simmons and that incident being key into the build up to that goal. Well, what a bloody finish for the second goal. Great work from Archie Gray, and we're going to speak about Archie at the end of this and heavily go into him on player ratings. He gets the ball. Obviously, only one thought in his mind. What a beautiful curling shot. 2-1 us. It was a great response from being brought back to 1-1 in the actual game, wasn't it?
Oh, listen, again, I think I said it earlier on the stream. It was a finish from the absolute top draw,
Mhm.
and I kind of want to poke a little bit of fun. when we had Frank, you didn't want people to shoot from outside the box. Well, guess
Yep.
what? If you have the quality of Xavi Simmons and you have a chance like that and you can do things like that, well, guess what? You got to shoot from outside the box, mate. You know what I mean? It was an absolutely delicious finish. And I want to see more of Xavi Simmons in those positions,
Yep.
and players to understand that he can do that. So also do a little 1-2, lay it off to him, get him in those positions to make those kinds of shots because you can see what he can do with it. He really showed a lot of the Spurs fans yesterday what he's capable of. We knew he had it in him before this. It's just that we haven't seen it on the big stage as much. But yesterday was a real kind of coming of age moment, I think, for Xavi. Not just the goal, but the penalty as well. That's pressure coming
Yep.
towards the end of a game. You've got a penalty in front of 60 odd thousand people. Go and put it in the bottom corner, and he absolutely buried it. It was like watching Kane almost bury a penalty. It was brilliant. So absolutely phenomenal from Xavi, and hopefully he'll get a lot more goals like that for us. Really
Yeah.
loved it.
Exactly. Okay. Right. So then we'll just summarise the last one because obviously the second goal was a killer. The second goal was a killer, and like you said at the beginning, I don't want to go too much into this. It was just for me, it was so weak again defensively,
Poor
so
marking.
weak,
It's
and that
just
was the
switching
sucker
off.
punch.
It's just switching off. That's what it is. It's not being alert to the dangers around you. If Sarr was doing his job there properly, you clear that ball. That
Yeah,
any ball to the front post should be getting cleared. Simple as that.
exactly, exactly. Then obviously we'll just touch on obviously we get the penalty as we've spoken about, Simmons central to it,
Yeah.
and then obviously great penalty from Simmons in off the post. Keeper one getting that even if he went the right way.
No.
So 3-2 in the tie. Um, so we win the tie, and I said when we're doing the pre-match predicted lineup and review, the most important thing for me was decent performance, no injuries, and keep that unbeaten in 24 European games at home going. And they did all that, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They did indeed. And the main thing really is injecting that positivity and bit of confidence into these players. And I think that's what last night did. And I think it did to the fan base as well. And we'll get into that because we're going to do player ratings, but we've also got to say a big, big shout out to the fans. I mean, I wish I was there. I was out in Madrid, but I wish I was there at home. I'll be honest with you. I heard them through the TV screens singing "I'm Tottenham till I die," in the 90th minute. It was absolutely incredible support there at our home stadium. And I thought that, it's just a beautiful thing to see when our fans are in that kind of mood. And it energizes the whole club. It energizes the players. It energizes the other fans. It electrifies that stadium. And that's what we're going to need on Sunday. And that's what we're going to need for, all of our games towards the end of the season because we've got a huge fight ahead of us.
Well, to be honest, it should be like that week in, week out, regardless, since we've had this stadium. But that's a different conversation.
That is a
But the
different.
one thing, the final thing we'll wrap up on this game is great to see Destiny back, Bergvall back, Gallagher back. Obviously, they got a few minutes. Destiny came on first, then Bergvall, then Gallagher with Oluwasi and Danso. But it was great to see some players coming back as well, wasn't it?
Oh, it was brilliant. It's great that they got minutes in their legs.
Hmm.
Your Bergvals and Destinies, really, really good. Yeah, they're going to be a bit rusty. They've been out for a while, but we need them in this run-in. They are top quality players, and we're going to need them at their best. So it's really good for them to get a little bit of game time. Same goes for Connor. A big shout out to Ola Stacey. I want to give him huge, huge praise because we've seen him come in the last couple of games, and I think he's been really, really positive and brilliant in everything that he's done. And I hope he gets a lot of minutes towards the end of the season because I think we've got a real player there, and he's really positive in all his actions, and that's all we can ask for from these young guys that are coming in. So hopefully we see a lot more of Ola Stacey.
Well, there you go. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is it for the post-match review of the game. Like we said at the beginning, please send your best wishes to Ben and Sim, who are currently away due to a family emergency. Amir, it's always a pleasure, brother.
Always, always, and hopefully we have a few more of these with Spurs wins coming up to the end of the season.
Yeah,
That'll be
let's hope they become a habit, not a one-off, and we can all be happy.
that's it. That's
People, leave
it.
your comments, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.